Yo, it's your man MAS. I'm back with another one. Alright, so today we're talking about Zom 100. Alright, so the way I described it when I was working conventions, I do work a lot of anime conventions. Zom 100 is like the new kid on the block, the new anime on the block. Apparently, it's very appealing to like a lot of people, so a lot of people like the anime. So yeah, I was like, yo, let me dive in, make a review about it. At least a review on the amount of episodes that I can review on it. So I think it's like 9 episodes. It was stationed for like 12, but I think it's just 9 for now. So I'm assuming more episodes may or may not come out in the future, but that's gonna be a topic I'm gonna cover later on in another video. All right, but all right, first topic, Zom 100. All right, my review on it, it's an okay anime. I don't think it's anything crazy, but I feel like if you watch enough of my videos, you say, oh yeah, he doesn't think anything's crazy. Besides Attack on Titans, masterpiece. Masterpiece. But Zom 100 is an okay anime. The way I could best describe it, because at first I was watching it, I was like really critical about it. I was like, yo, like this isn't good. This isn't. I mean, I'm not into it. But then the more I watched several other episodes, the more I was like, all right, this anime is kind of geared towards something specific, meaning like it's made to be kind of lighthearted. So it's like a lighthearted take on a zombie apocalypse. Most times you see zombie apocalypse, you think, I won't say like comedy, but you think like, yo, like survival of the fittest, strategizing, despair, apocalyptic. You think very negative things, right? But Zom 100 isn't that. Apparently, Zom 100, the most negative thing about Zom 100 is anything but zombie. So like the real world apparently is like shit, right? So I think his name is Tendo, the main character. His real life sucks ass, right? His real life sucks ass. He's not happy about it. He's working a job that he hates. That's going to be something I'm going to touch on more. And the zombie apocalypse comes, and he's like, yo, this is the best thing that could happen for humanity. Again, as I'm watching the show, I'm like, I don't think that's very realistic, but I get it. It's made to be a lighthearted view of like that kind of environment. Like, hey, if you want to like a lighthearted spin on a zombie apocalypse, I think Zom 100 is for that. And I think it does a really good job at that, right? Is it my type of anime? Not really, but if you're somebody who's a fan of zombie apocalypse, but you wanted to watch something that's more lighthearted, not so much like Resident Evil-esque, Zom 100 is definitely up the alley. Like even like the gore itself is made to be very, you can tell what the texture is, very colorful, very bright. The opening songs, I'm gonna do a video on that one day, like just anime opening songs, anime ending songs, the best ones. I love that. I work out to that, but like even that is just mad colorful. So not your typical zombie apocalypse kind of stuff, right? And then again, as I'm watching it, like I'm not sure if this is like this generation of kids. You know, I'm an older gentleman, but like if he hated his job that much, why does he just quit? You get me? Like bro, like you don't have to work at this job. Like, is there a situation where it's like manipulation, where it's like, yo, like he's being so like mind effed that like he's being tricked into continuing working for a job that he doesn't like. But like in most generations, it's like, yo, no, a zombie apocalypse is not the savior of working a dead end job. If you hate your job, my friend, just quit. Find another job. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world for some people, but I feel like your happiness transcends like putting yourself in like legit misery, right? If you hate where you're at, please, I beg, leave. Like go, all right? Because what happens is if you're doing something that you hate, eventually you're gonna project that hatred onto other people. You know, so misery loves company. That's the phrase. So like, if you're working a job that you hate, please do not pray for a zombie apocalypse so that you can quit your job, right? Because all of a sudden like you found happiness in that doesn't mean that the rest of humanity is now happy that zombie apocalypse. Like if zombie apocalypse happened now, like I love my life, so zombie apocalypse would mess everything up. But I don't want like these idiots who are like, yeah, zombie apocalypse, like, because they're going to be those people. So unfortunately, like Tendo is one of those people where it's like I don't think he takes advantage of the chaos, where it's like he's taking advantage of other people's despair, but he himself is happy that things are so negative because that kind of takes him away from, I guess, like the realities of real life. So, I mean, that's what that, again, when I initially watched it, I was like, yeah, this is not my thing. It's not very realistic. But the more I watched it, I was like, okay, like definitely lighthearted, definitely funny. not my sense of comedy either or humor, but I get like it's like anime humor again. So if you like that kind of thing, if you want like a lighthearted view on a zombie apocalypse, I think Zombie 100 is definitely up your alley. If that is the case, Zombie 100 is probably like maybe like a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 if you want like lighthearted zombies. But in terms of story, in terms of like how realistic it can be, it's not going to rate very high for me. That's my opinion, right? Next thing on my show notes is just how unrealistic the show is. All right, and I know what you may be saying. Definitely comment if you want, but like anime in general is not meant to be realistic, right? So anime is kind of like the limitations that regular shows have. I do watch a lot of regular shows. I do watch a lot of I watch a lot of foreign shows. I love Korean dramas, Mandarin shows, African shows. So I watch a lot of that. But anime is meant to like the limitations that those shows have is like it's cartoons, so you could like really branch out, right? But even still, something that I take from a lot of anime is like, hey, I want something that like really. I love stories that are really engaging and like make sense, like power-ups that make sense. Like things for me make sense. Like those are the best stories because you could, even though it's an anime, even though like it's unrealistic to a certain degree, you can still relate to like, all right, 1 + 1 = 2, not like 1 + 1 = 20, like not that kind of stuff. Well, like the issue with Zom 100 for me, besides the comedic aspect of it, it's like it's very unrealistic. It's like a lot of his catchphrase, you'll notice that. Like I'd rather be eaten by this than, go to work or go do that task. I'd rather be eaten by zombies. And I get it. It's essentially like a bucket list of things he wants to do before he gets eaten. Which that aspect I agree is realistic because maybe realistic but also negative because like he's not he's almost expecting to die. Right? Granted, we are going to die, but I guess he's expected to die as a zombie. So it's like, I want to do these things before I turn into a zombie, right? So that's his bucket list. But it like I don't want people to adopt that mentality where it's like even like anime protagonists, anime main characters, like they typically tend to be pretty positive. So he is just like, I'd rather be eaten by a zombie than do that. Or I'd rather be eaten by a zombie than do this. And it's like for me. Is like, bro, like it's not that serious, right? Just do the thing, right? You have free will. It's like this mentality of like he doesn't have free will, or as I'm watching the show, is like it reminds me of like those challenges, like kids come up with like some of the craziest challenges, like the 1 chip challenge, the plank challenge, the slap your teacher challenge, slap your teacher challenge, whereas like the mentality is so like short span, where it's like, I'd rather be eaten by a tiger. I'd rather be shot 50 million times than do that, or kiss you, or do this. I'm just like, that's very extreme. Like just don't do it. Don't. It's almost like what's that catchphrase? Like, don't wish things into fruition. So it's like, if your words have power, so like you're wishing it into fruition when you say it out loud. So it's like saying, hey, I'd rather be ran over by a car or eaten by a zombie than, hang out with you or take orders from you or do this from you. Is like you're actually speaking that, in my opinion, I guess that's what I believe in, like you're speaking that into fruition. So it's just like, my opinion, just avoid it altogether. It's not that serious. Life is too short. I think that's what the show is trying to highlight too. But again, they did it, in my opinion, in a very unrealistic way. Still a good show for what it's attempting to do. But I'm just like, like that's very, and I get it. That kind of stuff is gonna catch like people whose attention span is like they like that kind of stuff. Like kind of live on the edge, YOLO. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like YOLO, right? When that Drake thing kind of came out, it was like YOLO, you only live once, like. And kind of adopting like, I'd rather do all these things than do that. I'd rather do all these dangerous things than do that. So it's like, I'm not a fan of YOLO. I get it. You really do only live once, but like, I do think you should make the most of it. Don't, risk a zombie apocalypse just to get a drink of beer or eat a cupcake, but for me, I watch zombie apocalypse. So I guess I like the more serious tone of it. So again, Zombie 100 is meant to be lighthearted, all right? I just wish it was lighthearted, but still like a little bit more realistic, because there are a lot of realistic moments. Like the girl with the purple hair, she's I like her personality. That's why I first had like a T watch. I'm like, oh, okay, it's that type of show, right? Because she's very analytical, and she brings like a sense of realism to like a lot of the situations. So I'm like, right, even with like them picking the RV. So I was like, okay, like I like her personality. That's what made me think like, all right, I see what they're doing. It's kind of like that spin or yin yang of like it's meant to be satire. It's meant to be like lighthearted while still trying to analyze aspects of like a zombie apocalypse, right? So there's that. Next topic is Tendo's Boss. All right. So I have watched The Walking Dead. Right. I feel like there's only a handful of like iconic zombie apocalypse type shows. So there's like, of course, there's Resident Evil. There's High School of the Dead. Anime wise, there is The Walking Dead. Right. So at a certain point in time, I'm about to show my age, but Walking Dead was a big deal. Walking Dead was a big deal. So one of the iconic characters, like eventually I will make a video about this too, like my top 10 like villains of all time. Like Negan did such a good job in terms of, I remember when that first episode came out, right? Negan, like the Negan saga, and people online when Facebook was popping was going crazy. It's like, yo, Negan is that dude. Before Rick used to be that dude, and you know, like through all trials and tribulations, like Rick always like stood out on top. But like he came across Negan, and Negan was that guy. He didn't know Negan was that guy, right? So Tendo's Boss reminds me of Negan to a lesser extent, right? And this is what I mean by reminds me of Negan. I feel like it takes a certain personality, despite how negative that personality is, to like be able to manipulate people the way that he does. So like imagine like, yeah, your boss is shitty or whatever, but like he's managing to get all this productivity out of all these workers, all these people. So who would think like your negative boss would be surviving in an apocalypse? Like no, like I feel like those are like the first people to die, right? Like the shitheads. Like, all right, like the people who were like bullies and all that stuff. Like you would think, I don't know if you're like, I don't want to even sound like religious, but if you're of that positive thinking, like, all right, well, Judgment Day, when Judgment Day comes, the people who have been doing right will prosper, and the people who have been doing wrong are going to be left to dead or the fire. Unfortunately, real life isn't like that, right? So, and unfortunately, like you'll see like a lot of like shitheads or like those negative people. Maybe they tend to thrive more in a zombie apocalypse. Maybe they tend to thrive more during Judgment Day because they have that negative, ruthless way of thinking. So I say all this to say that Tendo's Boss, when he kind of got them and Tendo to like work for him again during the zombie apocalypse, granted Tendo kind of broke out of it eventually, but like I feel like it takes a certain caliber of villain, right, to be able to manipulate people in such a way where it's like, I say this all the time when I watch these kind of shows. Like, yo, how are all of you agreeing to work for this one person? Is almost like the president or like the one, like is unanimous that like all of you guys are agreeing to work for this person, but like at any point you could just overthrow him. Like you guys have the numbers, right? So I feel like it takes a certain skill to manipulate people in such a way where you can get them to work for you, treat them like trash, and have them not run a coup on you. Right, eventually, I could be wrong because I'm really not a history buff, but eventually a coup will happen, right? So I guess it happened when Tendo came, because people can only be oppressed for so long before they try to like uproar. Maybe not everybody, but there's always gonna be that one individual where it's like, yeah, I'm not cool with this. I'm gonna try to overthrow him. So it takes a certain level of individual villain to like be able to manipulate people for a long period of time. Whereas like the opportunity is there to run a coup or to overturn him at any point, but people are so complicit in like the way things are that it really does just take a certain level of mind control, and that's what Tendo's Boss is. So like, granted, he's really not good in visual. Tendo hates him, but like, I think he displays more leadership skills than Tendo, realistically speaking, because I don't think Tendo's able to motivate that many people. At least I haven't seen it. Maybe when more episodes come out, like that'll be the case. But like, Tendo's very like free spirited. I feel like it takes a certain caliber of person to be able to manipulate and encourage, right? You could call it encourage or whatever you want, to uplift certain people in a way where it's like they're working for you, despite the fact that they outnumber you. Like it takes a certain caliber of villain to do that. Those villains really stand out to me because it's like, yo, they're really good with their mouthpiece, meaning they're very persuasive. They have to persuade to a certain point. You kind of saw hints of that in that episode. So, listen, Tendo's Balls, top villain of all times. Sorry, not top villain of all times, but definitely very underrated in terms of like that skill. Very underrated. Tendo's Balls survived the zombie apocalypse. Tendo was surprised to see his boss. Like, oh snap, you survived. Like, yeah, my guy, I survived. Now start working for me right now. And he set up that trap. Like, it takes a certain level of intelligence. I'm telling you. All right. And then last topic is just ironic. It's just the whole aspect of like the episodes, right? So, pretty sure it's supposed to be like 12 episodes, but it's only 9. And then I guess more episodes are supposed to come out. But it's ironic. I read an article that supported, so I'll give credit to the article, where it's like, I guess like the sense of the show is kind of like getting out of that monopoly of like working, but that same thing that they're doing is like in real life they're not meeting those deadlines, and now the show is pushed back. So a lot of people love the show, so a lot of people are upset that hey, like where are the rest of the episodes? You could tell there's supposed to be more episodes, so you're not gonna run that cap on me where it's like, oh, it's only supposed to be 9 episodes. Because after the 9th episode, they show the title of the next episode. Like, hey, this is supposed to be the next episode. So, like, that's cap. There definitely is supposed to be more episodes. But I guess they're not meeting the deadlines. Like, the actual reason for why they're not unleashing or uploading, like, the next episodes, like, is beyond me. Like, I don't know. What have you. But for me, like, I don't think it's that amazing of an anime anyway, right? But it's just ironic that like the premise of the show is meant to like kind of break people out of that satire. I feel like it's meant to be a lighthearted view on the zombie apocalypse, but also like, hey, like enjoy your life, don't be controlled by these schedules and deadlines. Still be responsible, but like, don't be held down by like social standards. But unfortunately, it's ironic. The thing that they're trying to preach in the show in real life, and real like the people who are producing this show and the art and everything, like they're not adhering to that, and guess what? Like no episodes are coming out. So for me, it kind of contradicts like I guess the premise of the show. Besides the whole lighthearted zombie, it's just like reality and not working for a dead end job and stuff like that. But like all I'm trying to say is that it takes a certain caliber of like critical thinking to understand like, hey, even though all these things in real life aren't that great, like they still need to happen in order for society to run. And that's the thing that I felt like the show was kind of missing or making light of. They're just very negative in terms of like, I'd rather be eaten by this than do that, and I want to be able to live and drink beer. And I'm like, bro, like there are people who make the beer, there are people who make the cars, there are people who do all these things that they may not enjoy so that you can enjoy them. So you can't just say like F everything, you should be free. Like freedom comes at a price, and I feel like the show didn't really do a great job of highlighting that. And it's ironic because in real life they're not even meeting their deadlines, or something's happening where they can't produce more episodes, but hey, they have the freedom to do so. So now you guys have to wait or not wait or whatever. There's a manga, right? I'm positive there's a manga. Hopefully there's a manga. If there's a manga and you're a hardcore Zom 100 fan, read the manga. Maybe you get your fix. But the anime wise, motherfuckers aren't meeting, like they're not meeting their deadlines. People are not meeting their deadlines. So you may not get any more episodes of the anime. And I don't care. But if you do care, just don't take certain elements of the show like too literal. Don't like take it to heart. Like again, all these things do need to happen for society to run. There does need to be some negativity, right? It doesn't have to be the end all be all. Like if you're working a dead end job, that does not have to be your your life. Right, that's what I'm trying to say. If you're working a dead end job, that does not have to be your life. But the issue is somebody has to do the job. If nobody wants to do their job, society would not be running how it's running, and you would probably be miserable because like, oh, this traffic, I'm not getting my food, I'm not, like all these municipal things that like I feel like people take for granted. Like somebody got to do it, all right? And if everybody's thinking like Tendo is, like nothing's really going to get done. So it's like a yin and a yang, all right? So that just view it like that, yin and a yang, right? But again, I'm a pretty critical person, so Zom 100 is a good show. I don't want you to think like, hey, it's not a good show. I just think that it's a bit too unrealistic and it's a bit too negative to like what society really is, and it kind of shows for the fact that hypocrisy, like they're not really coming out with more episodes, right? But if you want something lighthearted and you want something kind of uplifting to kind of talk about like freedom per se, like hey, like YOLO, freedom to live your life. I think it's definitely that kind of show. So I'm like, it's more of like a mixed review, right? If you like that kind of show, I would give it like a 9 out of 10, like I said. But if you're an anime buff and you actually just want a show of substance and all that stuff, I really don't think it's that kind of show in my opinion. I would probably give it like just overall, maybe like a 5 out of 10. Like it's pretty average in my opinion. Pretty average. Yeah, but again, my thinking is basing off of all animes I've seen. So overall, it's probably like a 5 out of 10. But in terms of its specific genre, its specific niche, it's probably a 9 out of 10. You might watch it and, like I said, like you get the feeling of being uplifted. You like the colorfulness of a zombie apocalypse. You like the lightheartedness. It motivates you to quit your job. Like then it's for you. But if you're somebody that quits their job and then it's like, damn, I can't find another job, this show might not be for you. Don't quit your job like, yo, I'm 100, like I'm living my life to the fullest, and then you're homeless. Like don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, that's my take on Zom 100. Hopefully more episodes do come out so I can like review the entire thing. And then I will have more anime reviews for you to come. All right. But it's your man MAS. I'm out.